Hello Movie Mavens! Welcome back to another video on the B Movie channel. My name is Bailey and I put the B in movies. I hope you are having a wonderful week. I'm having a pretty good week myself. And I just want to start off in lieu of Bailey Babbles today by saying thank you for being so patient with us. I have been super busy the past couple weeks. I am unusually and uncharacteristically busy this summer. Truly, I am busy for the next 6 to 8 weekends this summer, which is wild. So I do really appreciate, and Elliot really appreciates y'all's patience with last week's video coming out a day late, as well as Wednesday's piece coming out tomorrow, even though that's less of a prep thing and more of I woke up with this very big idea that I wanted to do, and I just did not have enough time to get it done and still have that piece out by 10 a.m. Wednesday, but I do think you're really going to enjoy it, and for that piece, I will link it in the description box tomorrow as soon as it goes live. So the other 4 pieces that have come out this week will go ahead and be in that description box, and you'll see a field for Saturdays, which is going to be it's about teen magazines, and that's all I'm going to say. And so you will see in the description box link coming soon, and as soon as that is up tomorrow morning, I will get that link out. So just thank you for being patient. This is just a weekly reminder. It's becoming a weekly reminder to give yourself grace and to be patient with yourself and be gentle with yourself. But thank you so much for all of your patience. We really appreciate you. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and do this week's blog roundup. For those who don't know, the B Movies channel is just a continuation of the B Movies blog that you can find over at just bmovies.blog. It's also linked in the description box below in every video, and we link all 5 pieces for the week down below as well. Those pieces come out Monday through Friday, with the exception of this week, around 10 a.m. CT, as I always say. Sometimes WordPress and I disagree a bit, but it's always around 10 a.m. Central Time. And yeah, so this week over on the B Movies blog, on Monday we talked about devious daddies, be them bad or baddish dads of horror, and I threw some movie recommendations in there for you. On Tuesday we talked about Logo, which was really responsible for me seeing some of my favorite movies to this day. And, it was like a closeted queer kid in small town Texas. I did want to give Logo its dues. On Thursday, we talked about The Watchers, which will be our deep dive because I mentioned The Watchers in last week's video. Friday, today, we did one of our Lights Camera albums with Miley Cyrus's Bangers. If you're not familiar with our Lights Camera album series, what I do is I take an album and I match each song on the track list with a different movie. They're one of our best performing series over on the B Movies blog. And traditionally, that's our deep dive, but we are going to let The Watchers take its place because I did bring up The Watchers last week in last week's video. But you can find, again, all of these pieces linked below, as well as the teen magazines piece that will be linked below tomorrow. So, just to recap, this week over on the B Movies blog, Devious Daddies, piece about Logo, my review of The Watchers, Lights Camera album with Miley Cyrus's Bangers, and then the teen magazine piece that will be going live tomorrow. And it will be going live tomorrow at 10 a.m. our regular time. Just a heads up to everybody. So next up, let's go ahead and get into our Bite Size Sunday teaser. Again, if you're new to the channel or to B Movies in general, every Sunday around 8 or 9 Central Time, you can find a little review over on our Instagram, which is just at B Movies channel, same as our YouTube, and you can only get the hints here. It's a perk of subscribing to the YouTube channel. So this week's hint is... So for context, I made a pun, realized I could not say that pun on YouTube. So I feel like if you get it, you get it. So see you next Tuesday, Tree Roads, Take Me Home. And we will talk about it on Sunday. I'm very excited. So, with all of the housekeeping out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this week's deep dive, which is my review of The Watchers. And again, I know that we usually reserve the deep dive for Lights Camera Albums when we have, on the weeks that we have those, but I had already mentioned The Watchers, and so I wanted to make sure that, like, I made good on my word to y'all by saying that I was going to cover it. So, The Watchers. Okay. Based on things I had reviewed, this movie has been obliterated in some reviews. So, like, I basically, like, clicked my little pin as soon as I walked into that theater and sat down. I was fully prepared to tear this movie to shreds. I thought it was fine. I don't think it's, like, a revolutionary horror movie by any means. Like, you know, to see The Watchers and X in the same week, which I've seen X before, but, like, they were doing the re-release for the Maxine sneak preview, just to clarify. But, like, to rewatch X the same week as I saw The Watchers, like, obviously didn't do The Watchers any favors, you know, like, watch a very, very well done horror movie. I probably wouldn't watch it again, but it truly wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And before I say anything else, I'm going to throw out my trademark disclaimer, which if you've been here for a while, you know what it is, which is the great thing about movies is we can discuss and debate them, right? Like that's why we love movies. Just because I think a movie is good does not make it a good movie, and just because I think a movie is bad does not make it a bad movie. Also, making a movie is an extremely difficult process, and I have the utmost respect for people who make films, and I don't want to detract from that process. So, let's start with the positives. I think the women in this movie are incredible, and I think they carry the entire movie on their backs. Truly. I think our 3 female leads, incredible. Incredible. I also, personally, I don't mind what the big bad is in this movie. I truly don't. I think the lore is kind of cool. I don't think the execution was great, but I don't mind that aspect. It's not the big bads don't bother me. Also, I think it was really ballsy for I think it's Ashana is how you say it, and if I'm butchering her name, y'all know I always get in my head about how I say names. But for Ashana Shyamalan to choose, like, a book adaptation for her directorial film debut, I think that's very ballsy, because as we all know, with film adaptations of movies, the fandoms are always gonna, you know, like, there's always gonna be a lot of tension there, there's always gonna be a lot of contention there. And so they're held to a high standard. You're never going to please everyone. So I do think, like, I applaud, like, that tenacity to come out with a book adaptation out of the gate. So, on the negative side, and please, I'm not going to spoil anything. This may be another case of this is better as a series for me. I think if this had been a series, we could have fleshed out the lore a lot more. We could have gotten a lot more in depth. We could have learned more about Dr. Rory Kilmartin, who's played by John Lynch in the film. To me, it really felt like an early 2000s sci-fi kind of teen-y or adjacent series, and I think if it had been a series, it could have really leaned into that genre more. My second qualm with this movie, and this is something y'all, my second and third qualms of this movie are going to be things y'all have heard me say before. There's way too much CGI. With the subject matter, I understand practical effects. I personally don't think there was a way to do this movie with full practical effects. I just don't. And y'all always know I'm a huge proponent of practical effects. I will always say go practical whenever you can. I don't quite think it's possible for this movie. But I do think we could have toned down or fine-tuned the CGI. I do believe that. I believe that this is just a case of tell, don't show. Thirdly, and this is a critique I've had with several movies lately again, but the writing feels really stiff. And I'm not sure, this has been a theme through several movies I've seen lately. And I'm not sure if, and before I say this, allegedly, I have absolutely no evidence of this. This is just a theory, allegedly, in my opinion. I don't know if, like, maybe during the strikes, some scripts were started with AI, or AI was used to outline them, or writers are incorporating more AI into, like, screenwriting. But I've just been noticing some issues with dialogue being unnatural in movies I've been watching lately. And call it, I'm not a screenwriter, but I am a writer. And see, I'm not a fictional writer, so again, like, I have nothing but the utmost respect for screenwriters, because, fictional writing, I do better with biographical and nonfiction writing, so I have nothing but the utmost respect. And again, that's just a theory of maybe what happened here, or, it may just be like an AI shift. But a lot of movies to me lately the dialogue's been very stiff. So the last thing I'll say, and I'm not going to spoil it, the end was a bit predictable for me. I did see what was going to happen coming from a mile away. So that's my thing. I think it's fine. I would definitely see another movie that Ishana Shyamalan directed. I don't think this has like ruined her for me, and I think you should give people a fair shake. This is her first movie, and again, also going off of a book was a very gutsy move. And the bones are there. It just needs some tweaks. And so, all in all, I would say there's a hair in my face that's driving me nuts. All in all, I would say if you have some time to kill on a day off or a Sunday afternoon, or, after you get off work, if you just want to decompress and kind of turn your brain off, I think it's an okay way to kill an hour and 40 minutes. That's just my opinion. So I think it's fine. I do think that they did go in pretty hard on her, because I don't think it's that bad. I just think it's fine. So that's my review of The Watchers. You can catch the review in full in the description box below. But those are my opinions about The Watchers. So next up, we have special features. We have some things I'm very excited about today. So again, if you're new to the channel, special features is a section that's reserved for updates on our favorite analog horror series, horror ARGs, or sometimes it's just stuff I want to talk about that doesn't necessarily fit into Bite Size Sunday, or I don't know how I'm going to write about it on the blog, or I may not write about it on the blog, and so it's just another perk of subscribing to the YouTube channel. So the first thing I want to talk about is Vermis Malum, which is a new, oh my gosh, I have hair on my face, it's just driving me nuts. Vermis Malum is a new analog horror / horror ARG series on the scene that honestly reminds me a lot of the likes of like Everyman Hybrid and like those early to mid 2000s like horror ARG series. And it's like Everyman Hybrid mixed with Rapid Eyes, which we all know is a favorite here at B Movies. And so the series starts with what appears to be like a video game interface, and it's an elevator that's taking us down. And when we walk into a room, there's a TV with static, and it plays the opening credits for the video game Vermis Malum. And we hear a whistle as the game turns to the side, and we face something sinister. From there, we're introduced to our who's going to be our main character, Lawrence, who appears to be making vlogs and or videos for a loved one. I think based on the context and what they're saying, I'm going to say it's for a partner, but we don't have those specifics quite yet. Throughout the vlogs, it seems like the lines between game and reality are being blurred, as we have like this live action footage, but there are like some graphic overlays, or as we pan around, there's some stuff that's clearly from the game. And Lawrence then tells the recipient of these videos that he kept hearing like a knocking sound above him, and so he went into the attic and he opened this like bright orange package, we see the footage, that had a laptop and a charger. And as the series goes on, there are only 3 videos so far, but as these videos go on, it starts to become very clear to us that there was a reason why this laptop was like put away and stowed away in the attic for hopefully no one to open it. I'm really excited for this one because like I said, it reminds me of old school horror ARGs, you know, like back in the day of like all of our Slenderman content, all of Ash Vlogs, like that whole era. And like, I know Ash Vlogs is controversial, but I'm just using it as an example here. And B, we all know I love Dante's Inferno and content that like plays around with like that mythology, that lore, and in that space. And judging by the fact that like someone named Beatrice calls us in one of the videos, which if you don't know, Beatrice is the whole reason Dante descends into the Inferno is to save her soul, I'm calling it early that this is in some way tied to Dante's Inferno. By the elevator that has, even though it has 10 levels, by the what looks like to be like the apple that tempted Eve and Adam in the Garden of Eden. I think this is something to do with Dante's Inferno. That's my guess now. Dante's Inferno or like hell. I think it's something to do with that Paradise Lost, that whole, y'all know I love that whole space. That's what I think this is. We also know how much I love symbolism and Easter eggs throughout a series, and there are so many little things to analyze, from Latin phrases to reoccurring imagery, and so I'm very stoked for this one. And so to the team who's working on this series, keep it up. This is so cool. You have me completely on board, only 3 videos deep, and as always, I will link their channel below. So please be sure to follow them, to subscribe to their channel and engage with their content, because I'm really excited to see where this series goes. Because if it's going where I think it's going, I am very excited. So next up, I want to talk about this short film called Horror Brunch. And so I saw this gem. This is from the 80s. But I saw this gem in a Draft House pre-show the other day, and I knew that I had to talk about it immediately. Like, I immediately had my phone out and was making a note to myself to, like, research this short so that I could talk about it with all of you. So, Horror Brunch is this incredible, it's like 4.5-minute short film by Rick Carter, where all hell quite literally breaks loose at a restaurant during brunch. There are some crazy unalivings. There's a lot of over-the-top gore. I would say that it's camp at times. And there are even some special appearances by some of our horror favorites. And fun fact, Rick Carter, if that name sounds familiar, or if you're watching it, you're like, man, these these special effects, like makeup, or I don't know, my brain just short-circuited. If you're watching it and the special effects like makeup and the effects just in general are really good. Rick Carter actually worked on Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and Freddy's Nightmares both, which definitely, again, makes sense once you see the short. It's a very similar vibe. I'm going to link below. I found this excellent piece from Halloween Love, is what I believe the website's name is. And they actually talk about some of his other short films, and they just have this really incredible piece. And so that way you also have all of the shorts together in one spot. So I will link that below, but I definitely recommend watching this one. It's very fun, and I loved it. I watched it twice. I've watched it twice since I've seen it the first time, so I can't recommend it enough. So last up for today, we have subtitles, which are just little pieces of pop culture news from around the internet. So first up, and I know I'm late to the game on announcing this because to take a peek behind the curtain, what I do is I take screenshots of different pieces of news so that when I'm writing my script, I have it all in one spot. And so this screenshot just got a little lost, so I'm late to the party on this, announcing it, rather. But Robert Pattinson and Parker Finn are set to make a remake of 1981's Possession. The Institute, a novel that I love by Stephen King, I love The Institute, is going to see a TV adaptation with Mary Louise Parker and Ben Barnes already attached to star. An animated version of The Watchmen is on the way from Warner Brothers, which I'm very excited about. Josh Gad will star in Spaceballs 2 with Mel Brooks producing. I am a little bit skeptical because I was not the biggest fan of the History of the World Part 2 series that they did. I thought there were some funny parts, but I wasn't the biggest fan, and so I'm going in, again, I'm always going in like cautiously optimistic because we should give things a chance, but I am a little bit nervous. Charlize Theron is allegedly being eyed for A24's Crystal Lake series as their Pamela Voorhees, which I honestly think would be really cool because we know Charlize can play very dark. Hi, hello, she played Eileen Wuornos. So I think that would actually, I would enjoy that. I'm still, again, a little bit skeptical after Brian Fuller stepped away, but again, we shall see. There's a new Sailor Moon movie coming to Netflix on August 22nd. In one of the wildest pieces of news, but like honestly very excited, Will Ferrell is producing a live-action adaptation of Totally Spies for Amazon, which is wild, but like also exciting. A Quiet Place video game is set to release later this year. One of the big pieces of news that has been sweeping the internet is Jordan Peele has announced that his next movie will release October 2025. Very excited, always excited for a Jordan Peele movie. Jason Patric from The Lost Boys will appear in Terrifier 3, which has officially wrapped filming. And then finally, and this is, we're going to chat about this for a second, because there wasn't enough to put it in special features, so I decided to end the video with this. So first of all, if you've been following the marketing for Longlegs, the marketing has been incredible. From like the teaser trailers that were analog horror-y that didn't release the title of the movie until 3 or 4 of them were out, the different posters with the very cryptic captions, all of the code break, like just incredible. Like, can't shout out their marketing team and whoever else has worked on all of this enough. So in the latest piece of marketing for Longlegs, callers can dial 458-666-4355 for a creepy as hell pre-recorded message from the antagonist of the upcoming film. And I did it. It is very unsettling. I am so excited. I got my ticket yesterday. I am so, like, this is going to be one of those movies where I think it's going to be good. I truly believe it's going to be very, very good. I'm anticipating it may take my 6th spot on my favorite movie of the year. That's what I'm kind of calling it early. But this is going to be one of those ones where, like, if for any reason I don't like it, I'm going to be very upset. Because this and Maxine are 2 of my big ones. And so, I would recommend, if you have a couple minutes, giving that number a call. It is so creepy. And I will also link the number down below. So, that will do us for today. So, be sure to, / if you want to, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at Lisa_Frankenstein_. You can follow Elliot, who is reading.with.red. Follow us, just at bmovies channel, same as our YouTube. Again, that's where the Bite Size Sunday pieces live. We also post Monday through Friday and Sunday, because we post, that's where we post the pieces and links to the pieces in our story. We do a blog roundup on Fridays as well. And then we post Bite Size Sunday on Sunday, so it's good to follow there. That's also where we do any announcements, like if the video is going to be out a day late, everything like that. All of that lives on our Instagram. And be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. It's free. Give us a like if you feel so inclined, and leave a comment if you're feeling frisky. And so on that note, all that's left to do is fade to black.